Hello everybody, this is Yael and today is my birthday. I mean, the day in which I upload this video, which will be on Sunday, the 8th of September, which is coincidentally Star Trek Day. So of course today I'm wearing the Star Trek earrings, but not the ones that I had ordered for my birthday. These are gifted. And this made my whole week because the artist who owns the nerdy kinda crafty shop on Etsy sold me a couple of earrings a few weeks back, and as soon as I received them I was over the moon. I loved them so much, and I made a reel or a post or something on social media to talk about them because I want you all to buy these earrings. These are awesome, and they were so kind to send me a larger version of the Enterprise, which is the one that I'm wearing now. I will put on the screen the smaller version and the comparison. And I might be wrong, but I think they made them specifically for me. So, I'm not gonna cry. So first, go ahead and grab your own earrings by Nerdy Kinda Crafty. Second, happy Star Trek Day. Third, since it's my birthday too, I decided to give away for free the English edition of my ebook, which is available on Amazon. The promotion will start on September the 8th, my birthday, and run for 5 days. This means that you can grab a free copy, and the only thing that I ask you is to leave feedback. So not even a review if you don't feel like writing down anything about the book, but even just a few stars would really help, because indie authors don't get any other support unless readers share their work, so they spread the word and talk about it, suggest it to other people, and leave feedback. So any kind of review or share it on social media, but especially reviews are fundamental when we're talking about books sold on Amazon. So I would truly appreciate it. And if you want to grab the Italian edition of my book as paperback, I now have it available on my website. The print is going through Lulu Direct, and it's cheaper than on any other platform because I can manage it myself. Since I built the website and I have a shop on my website, which is the stationery shop I've been talking about for a while, on the same stationery shop you can also grab the Italian edition of my book. So you just order it from there, and it's the only product on my shop that will show you at checkout how much is for shipping, whereas all the other products show a price that already includes shipping. And again, if you feel like ordering a copy, please leave a review, leave some feedback, because in this case it will truly help my shop, especially in these early days. And now that we are done with all these little announcements, since I'm turning 34, I decided to talk about 34 movies that you should definitely watch at least once. I divided them into 6 categories, and given that 34 movies are so many, I will not go through the whole plot as I do usually on my cinema-related videos. This will be a little bit different and faster, and I've already mentioned some of these in my previous videos. First category is epic, and here I have Master and Commander, which is a masterpiece, and I can never remember the plot for some reason, so once I watch it, a couple years pass and I have to watch it again because I know that it's a masterpiece, but I can't remember why. Then the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yes, I play around with multiple movies in one position because I can. I mean, why would you separate these movies? You shouldn't. You just should watch the whole trilogy, right? So of course, The Lord of the Rings. Then we have Django Unchained, which I know it's not for everybody. I mean, Tarantino's movies are not for everybody, so I would totally understand if you refuse to watch it. But to me, it's a great movie, and I still listen to the soundtrack to this day. And finally, the last movie in the epic category is Gladiator. Do I need to explain you why you should watch it? No. Moving on to Oldies but Goodies, we have 4 movies: Rare Window, Rope, The Sound of Music, and you can choose Charade or Roman Holiday or several other movies starring Audrey Hepburn. You can choose. These are 2 of my favorites. And I used to study cinema in university, and Hitchcock was one of my favorites. This is why I listed Rare Window and Rope. And I would highly suggest you watch those for their techniques specifically. Then we get into the inspirational but also tearjerkers and or heartwarming movies. And here we have Out of Africa. I haven't talked about this one yet because I'm planning to make a whole video about movies related to Africa or that take place in Africa. But this is so close to my heart and I watched it so many times and cried all the time. Then Driving Miss Daisy, which could also go into the Oldies but Goodies category, but it's heartwarming and again, you might shed some tears. Then we have Suite Française. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce this title in English. This is how it feels to me. But this is around Second World War, so again, it might not be for everybody, but it's closer to a romance than a World War movie regarding warfare. And on a similar note maybe is Memoirs of a Geisha, because again there are some darker and tougher topics surrounding the plot and the life of this geisha. But I mean, it's such a masterpiece, you just have to watch it if you haven't yet. Then a little one that might not be considered as interesting or important or worth watching, which is About Time. And actually I find it a comforting movie. I like the acting in this one, the actors themselves, and there is a hint of sci-fi, but in such a simple and normal life context that it's truly for everybody to watch. Then another one that I watched multiple times is Anna and the King. Again, the background in this movie is harsh, but I love the story and the acting, and it's heartbreaking too. You just should watch it. And I don't know how popular it is nowadays, but it's definitely one of my favorites. Then something that might be considered niche is Live and Become. I never heard anybody talk about this movie, and it's important to me because it talks about Ethiopia. And if you don't know, I am half Ethiopian, half Italian, but I grew up in Italy, so I'm far away from Ethiopia and the history of Ethiopia because I haven't lived in Ethiopia. And so this movie will move you no matter what you know or how you feel about Ethiopians, but also about religion. I'm not getting into the details because again, I will talk about this movie as well in the future, but if you're interested in this already, in what I said, just check it out. And the last two in this inspirational but also heartbreaking category I've talked about already, which are A Beautiful Mind and Into the Wild. Then let's get into animation, so animated movies. I haven't talked about any, I think, so far, or maybe one. And the first one is, of course, Spirited Away. I mean, period. You just have to watch it. Then an underrated masterpiece, and you should watch it no matter what you believe in or if you care about the story at all, it doesn't matter. It's The Prince of Egypt. Because it's such a stunning piece of animation, it's a work of art for real, so you should just watch it. And then there is a series of movies, so I cannot choose, so they all take this spot, by the Studio Cartoon Saloon, which are, for instance, The Secret of Kells, The Breadwinner, Wolf Walkers, and Song of the Sea. I've watched other movies by them, I think, but these are the ones that I recall and that truly stood out. I don't know if their movies are not well known just because it's closer to an independent studio, right? It's a smaller studio. But both the topics and the style of animation are definitely stunning. Some of these will truly surprise you. And finally, for the animated category, we have Princess Mononoke. To be fair, I would say watch anything by Studio Ghibli or Ghibli, depending where you are. The Ghibli pronunciation is actually closer to the origin of the word, because it comes from Italian. But the studio itself, since it's based in Japan, if you look at the kanji, you will see that it's pronounced Jiburi. And so, you do you. To me, it sounds more right, Studio Ghibli, simply because I'm used to the Italian pronunciation. But I know in Japanese, you're supposed to say Jiburi. Either way, watch anything by them, and Princess Mononoke in particular has a stunning soundtrack. I mean, all of these movies have a remarkable soundtrack, but Princess Mononoke's is, I don't know, it has something special. And when I was in Paris a couple of years ago, when I was living there, I went to a concert in which they were playing all Studio Ghibli stuff, and my goodness, the Princess Mononoke soundtrack, oh, you have no idea if you haven't watched it yet. And I will talk at some point about Studio Ponok, I think it's called, which is supposed to be the successor of Studio Ghibli. And I watched, I think, all of their movies. There aren't many yet, but there are a couple I will talk about very soon in the upcoming videos, so stay tuned for those. And let's move to the category New Classics, because these are more modern and they are not really considered classics yet, I think. But for me, these are classics, which are Top Gun. It might sound surprising, maybe, but it's basically my favorite movie ever. Not because it's my favorite in itself, it's just because it's the one that I watched the most and I never get tired of it. I don't know why, don't ask me why. I love airplanes, maybe that's it. And then, of course, any Poirot movie. Again, it takes one spot, but I would recommend everything around Poirot. And don't even try to mention the new series of Poirot movies. Don't you dare. I'm exclusively talking about David Suchet. Okay? I made it so clear in my Poirot dedicated video, so go ahead and watch that if you're curious about this. Then you should definitely watch Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 version. At least that's the one that I prefer. The other one is a mini-series. And on a similar note, you should watch Little Women. And I personally prefer the 1994 version, perhaps because I grew up watching that one, but I really didn't like the newest version. So you do you. Little Women is worth watching. And then, of course, the Harry Potter series. I mean, I think it has become a classic. The whole series. Again, we cannot separate them. We cannot just talk about one of those movies. It doesn't make sense. Just like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Next, we have The Truman Show, which at the time I think it was simply revolutionary when it came out. And now I think it has become a classic. Perhaps it's even scary at this point because we are surrounded by cameras. And finally, I am cheating a little bit maybe, but any Star Trek movie related to the Next Generation. So the Next Generation is a series in the Star Trek franchise. It's the second series that came out after the original one. In my humble opinion, it's simply the best. I will not discuss about it. And yes, I do love Picard. I mean, the character, not necessarily the series. But yes, you just have to watch the whole series, clearly. But also, you should watch the movies in which the same cast is playing something that might be mixed with other ones, such as with the original series cast. But there are several, so you just choose one or all of them, if you're into Star Trek, of course. And finally, the category that I didn't know how to call, I would call it clever, but it's psychological, mind-blowing, or innovative in some way. And this includes The Prestige, Inception, The Illusionist. And in my mind, I often confuse The Prestige and The Illusionist because there are some similar topics, but the movies are completely different, and I believe The Illusionist is the least popular of the two. I might be wrong, but to me they are both worth watching. Then I would say Men in Black, because when it came out it was innovative and it was a genius movie. I wouldn't necessarily recommend the other ones, so the following ones, but the first one is for sure. And then we have The Departed, which I haven't rewatched recently, so I don't really remember the plot that much, but I remember that I was pleasantly surprised by this movie, and it was so intriguing that for years I kept recommending it to others. And finally, number 34, we have The Matrix. Again, yes, maybe you should watch the trilogy, but actually the first movie is so good that maybe you should just watch that one. And again, I remember when it came out and how impactful it was. Not only in the pop culture, but in our life. You should watch it even if you don't really like sci-fi or dystopian movies and stuff like that I love. And I mean, by now I think everybody has watched it, but just in case, you should. And there you have it, 34 movies that you should definitely watch at least once in your lifetime. Let me know if you have any favorites in this list, or what would be your, I don't know, top 3 or something. Because again, I wanted to play around the fact that I'm turning 34. This is why the list is so long. But which would be your top 3 movies that everybody should watch before they die? Let me know in the comments down below, because I'm truly curious. And of course, I'm always looking for recommendations. And thanks again to Nerdy Kinda Crafty, because they sent me these earrings. And I mean, as a Star Trek fan, I cannot explain how happy this makes me. And to be fair, not even my friends remember my birthday or send me any gift, because since moving abroad, I am basically dead to most of them, so they simply don't send me any gifts because I'm too far, right? I don't exist anymore. And so to get a gift by a stranger, basically, because we just exchanged some messages online, it's so kind and so heartwarming. So go ahead and support them too, not only my shop, but also their shop. And if you have been watching my videos but never left a comment, today is the day to do so. Well, because it's my birthday, of course. So thank you so much for watching, for being around, and for subscribing. If you haven't yet, just subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.